Next question. Do you think it is useful for us to use gender critical as a term, or is it conceding too much, allowing them a more professional sounding name rather than just transphobe? I personally have decided to say gender critical for a few reasons. Originally, it was actually because I wanted to engage in good faith. And I think using the terms that people use for themselves is just. You're not going to get them on board if you're like, hey, you're a transphobe, tell me why. I'll just say, like, you're gender critical, that's what you've got in your bio, I want to listen to you. But then I think now one of the major factors, like I still do go and engage with gender critical people in good faith all the time, and I do actually kind of enjoy it, and I'm an idiot. But another important reason is they are the gender critical movement, and that's kind of how they're selling themselves. And I don't want them to have a term that sanitizes away their beliefs. When someone hears gender critical, I want them to think of this stuff we're talking about, where the main leaders are claiming that there's some kind of conspiracy going on, and that, you know, they want to take healthcare away from children, and they want to ban trans women from the toilets. That needs to be associated with the term gender critical, and as soon as that is, they will jump terms, because like they didn't have an issue really with TERF for a long time, and that's kind of where the gender critical movement has come from. It is different, and maybe we can discuss that more in the future. But like putting the ideas, I think them hiding what their ideas really are is an important part of their propaganda, which is what we were saying earlier, where they never will tell you what their actual propositions are. And we need to just link the name of the movement to what they actually want, because that's like one of the best attacks on their ideas, I think.
Yeah, I felt I didn't want to call them gender critical. I thought it was a term like race realist or something.
It is.
But I think it's important to understand them as a like informal but unified movement, and this being a specific movement that has arisen relatively recently. That is separate from like, it's not just personal transphobia, but it's like this organized ideology. And yeah, that's one of my main reasons. So when I say gender critical, I mean like specifically this movement.
It is different to just transphobia, because like some teenage boy from, you know, like Alaska or something could be transphobic and say like, oh, you got a dick, you're a man, whatever. But that's not like gender criticalism as like the group. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also I like to the silly alternative is calling them TERFs, which I think is fine, to be clear. But I think it's like a little, I don't like calling them radical feminists because they're not radical feminists. Yeah. And also there's like, the movement is like not very continuous with that movement.
Yeah, I think that, like in my mind, we'll discuss this in future, but there are TERFs and there are gender critical people, and there's a Venn diagram overlap there, but there are some real radical feminists who genuinely do oppose trans rights, and they have this whole interconnected ideological feminist-based worldview, and the gender critical people have some wild conspiracy theory, and for sure they overlap, but they are different.
Yeah, they're both kind of, I mean, the transsexual empire, like the name, is like not the least conspiratorial thing, right? It's like, yeah. I don't think she like posits an explicit conspiracy, but it's moving in that direction, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different movement.
Okay, so and that was from Sabalos. Thank you for asking.